What is going on, everybody? What is going on, The Catch fam? My name is Jon Dawson, and in today's video, we are hopping into another 2022 fantasy football mock draft. In today's video, we will be conducting an 8-team mock draft from the 6th overall selection. Got a request for an updated mock draft at 1.6. This is a PPR scoring format through the ESPN platform. If you guys do enjoy today's content, be sure to hit that like button down below and hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. We put out free daily fantasy football content, and at the moment we are running a free subscriber mock draft nearly every single night on the channel. And let me know in the comments down below if you guys have any mock draft requests, whether it's an 8, 10, 12, 14, 20 team league, full PPR, half PPR, standard score, and whatever it may be. If it's through a specific platform, if it's a pre-recorded video like this one or a live subscriber mock draft, let me know and we'll get that put on the schedule. And be sure to join our Discord down below to get updates on when we are mock drafting, as well as our mock draft invites. And without further ado, let's hop into another 2022 fantasy football mock draft. All right, so at 1.6 overall, you're kind of in a unique spot where I prefer to go running back in the first round, but the receiver value at 1.6 is just going to be so high that I am probably going to lean towards a receiver at 1.6. It depends on who's available. And, you know, if JJ's sitting there, there's no doubt I'm going receiver. If Cup's there, I'm probably going receiver. If Jamar Chase is there, then I'm probably going receiver. The flip side is, if one of those three guys aren't there, well, then at 2.11, you're still in line for a pretty damn good wide receiver one, whether it's Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, or Stephon Diggs, excuse me. So you're still in line for a good receiver overall. And at 1.1 tonight, we've got Jamar Chase off the board. So an interesting selection to start this mock draft nonetheless. But overall, it just kind of depends on what running backs and receivers get taken. So a heavy receiver draft to start things off. We got Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson gone. So who knows? Maybe we're going running back at 1.6. Jonathan Taylor gone. And I mean, really, regardless, it won't be surprising me to see JJ and Jamar Chase gone in the first 5. So if they don't go in the exact order, I don't think it necessarily hurts the integrity of this draft, so to speak, as Austin Eckler is gone. I mean, really, as long as CMC or Cup is taken here, then I still think this mock will be relatively realistic. Even if the first 5 selections, at least if their order isn't realistic, I think that the rest of this mock draft will still be realistic, if anything I just said makes any sense. So Cooper Kupp sitting here, or we could go Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, or Dalvin Cook. Let's just go with Cooper Kupp. Let's take the safe bet at wide receiver. And then at 2.11, looking at available running backs, we're going to target DeAndre Swift or Joe Mixon. Probably be my top 2 targets if Henry, Harris, and Cook are all gone. All right, so at 1.7, Derrick Henry is off of the board. At 1.8, Dalvin Cook is off of the board, and that'll wrap up your first round. Joe Mixon is taken at 1.9, who I was really hoping would fall out to 1.11, but nonetheless, Devontae Adams gone at 1.10. I'll take Najee Harris here as our RB1. So we've got Harris as our RB1 and Cooper Kupp as our wide receiver 1. So in these 8-team drafts, really the most important thing from each and every position is just gaining as much positional value as possible. So I know that I'm kind of beating a dead horse here. With every 8-team mock that I do, I just really emphasize going after a premium tight end. Whether it's Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews, get one of those 2 guys on your squad, because really what that does is that secures that advantage at the position throughout the entire season. And in these 8-team formats, you're going to be going up against extremely stacked squads on a weekly basis, and just having that advantage at tight end will go a very long ways. And really looking at receiver and running back, you're going to have depth throughout the whole draft, more so at receiver than running back, but the depth at running back will be there, and it's not really going to necessarily hurt to take a tight end early. So looking at the second round, we got Alvin Kamara gone, Deebo gone, DeAndre Swift gone, Stephon Diggs gone, and CeeDee Lamb gone. Moving into the third, we've got Javonte Williams off of the board, Leonard Fournette gone. So at the 27th overall selection or the 22nd, I'd like to go tight end. Looking at rankings, I'm probably going to have to go tight end at 22. So Mark Andrews already gone. So we'll see what happens. If Kelce gets selected here, I mean, those are really the only tight ends that I feel confident in spending an earlier draft selection on being Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce. If they get selected, then we'll pivot away and we'll start to look for some mid to late round value at the position, maybe a George Kittle with a Dallas Goedert or a George Kittle with a Dawson Knox, but we'll see what happens. Tyreek Hill off the board here. We've got one more selection. If Kelce is not taken here and he's not, Aaron Jones is gone, then I'm going to go ahead and lock up Kelce, get him added to the squad. So we've got a bona fide RB1 in Najee Harris, bona fide wide receiver 1 in Cooper Kupp, and a bona fide tight end 1 in Travis Kelce. So for me, coming up in the 4th round at pick 27, I think that running back is the next most important spot to fill. Looking at who's available, I like James Conner. If he falls out, then I'm going James Conner. Saquon Barkley off the board, so Barkley not an option for us. So we'll kind of see what happens. Barkley would be another name that I would be really happy with there at 27, but Akers and Barkley gone to end the 3rd. Into the 4th, we got Michael Pittman gone, and David Montgomery's taken. So James Conner does fall out. I've been a huge fan of James Conner all offseason long. I mean, getting Conner as our 4th player feels like an absolute steal. I'm very happy with that. All right, so we start this squad off with 2 running backs in Najee Harris and James Conner, Cooper Kupp at receiver, and Travis Kelce at tight end. I think it's a great start to this team. And really what I would like to do for the remainder of this draft is just select a receiver, then select a running back, and alternate between those 2 positions. If we're at a certain point in a certain round where there's more value at receiver and it's more valuable to go receiver in the 5th, then receiver in the 6th over the running backs available, then we'll do so, and we'll just kind of evaluate quarterbacks throughout this draft and allow a higher tier quarterback to fall to us at the right point in the draft. So still no quarterbacks taken. If Josh Allen is available at a certain point, I would say past pick 43, then we'll take Josh Allen, but he probably won't be. If Herbert is available past his ADP, then I'll take Herbert. Those are the 2 guys. If they are available past their ADP, I'm not going to pass them up. But I think in 18 leagues, you can hold off a little bit and still land a Jalen Hurts with a Trey Lance, a Joe Burrow with a Trey Lance if you want to go 2 quarterbacks, or if you just want to go 1 quarterback in general, Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow with those lower ADPs are really good options. But even if you miss out there, I mean, you got all kinds of options in an 18 league at the quarterback position. But don't forget, we are going for some positional value at the quarterback position, even if we're being a little bit more lenient with the position overall. So in the 4th round here, we got Keenan Allen, Nick Chubb, DJ Moore, Mike Evans, and Jalen Waddle gone. Moving into the 5th, we got Kyle Pitts, Breece Hall, and T. Higgins off the board. 2 more selections until we select at 38 overall. Man, there are some really interesting players available. I personally think if Ezekiel Elliott falls out to 38, then I'm not going to pass up on Zeke. And I know not everyone's a fan of drafting Zeke, but at the end of the day, I mean, a top 8 fantasy running back in full PPR last season. I mean, the offensive line is really the biggest issue for me going out and targeting Ezekiel Elliott. Like, outside of that, I'm really not worried about Zeke slowing down or injuries or Pollard. Like, I think Pollard's going to be a factor this year, but I think Zeke is a good value at where he's going in drafts right now. So being that we need a running back, looking at receivers, there's some good names here. I'd like to land Mike Williams at 43, but let's just go ahead and let's take Zeke off the board. I mean, a perfect RB3, really. I mean, I have no issue whatsoever with Zeke behind Najee Harris and James Conner. So we'll move in to the 6th round and 2 more selections as Josh Allen is taken here. And we've got 1 more selection in the 5th round, and it's Josh Jacobs. And now we'll move into the 6th. Mike Williams, my top target. Just a really nice ceiling involved with Mike Williams. Be a great wide receiver 2 for this squad. So ETN's gone, McLaurin's gone, and we'll go ahead and we'll take Mike Williams here, and we'll move into the 7th round in a couple selections here. So feeling pretty good with the start to this team, but we do need some help at the receiver position. And what I did with those last 2 selections is I was supposed to really go receiver before I drafted another running back, but I just felt like the running back value was more important with Zeke sitting there. And I mean, if I did go receiver, then it looks like I wouldn't have landed ETN. So I'm pretty happy that I did land Zeke there, because ETN would have been my next target at running back, and we probably would have came up with those last 2 selections without Zeke or ETN. And looking at receivers available, we probably didn't lose a whole lot of value. So I like where things ended up there, and we'll move into the 7th round, going for some more receiver help and continuing to keep an eye on the quarterback position. Really, at this point, at the running back position, we'll keep an eye on Elijah Mitchell. Really, I'd like for a lot of this tier of Miles Sanders down to Damian Harris to just kind of dry up on its own, and then for us to come back in closer to AJ Dillon and James Robinson, James Cook, Melvin Gordon, maybe Penny or Walker, Michael Carter, Dameon Pierce. I mean, just a lot of good late round value. Darrell Henderson and Tyler Algier. Those are the type of players I would like to add to the back half of this roster, really for the time being, just loading up at receiver and getting a solid quarterback on this squad. So here in the 6th round, Kittle's gone, Mahomes gone, Schultz and Antonio Gibson gone. Into the 7th round, we got Metcalf and Lamar Jackson gone. So I think at 54 and 59, the most important thing for us to do right now is to grab 2 receivers. I don't think we're going to end up landing Justin Herbert, but I do think after the 8th round that Jalen Hurts is going to be a top target if he is still available. He is starting to get drafted against his ADP slightly. So I do like Eli Mitchell still floating around. He's kind of interesting, kind of intriguing, but I think if we can land AJ Dillon in a later round, we get a very similar value. So Justin Herbert is gone at 52. So we've got 4 quarterbacks off the board: Josh Allen, Patty Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert. Chris Godwin gone in this round, and Darren Waller gone. So we've got a good selection of receivers. Let's go ahead and let's take Hollywood Brown off of the board here. Great flex player, great bench player, and we'll kind of see what happens here. Jerry Jeudy's gone. Moving into the 8th, Cortland Sutton and Amon-Ra St. Brown gone. Let's go with Darnell Mooney, 10th most targets in the league last season. I'll take him all day long. Has a great chemistry with Justin Fields, and that gives us some nice consistency at the receiver position on the bench. We already have a ton of consistency in Cooper Kupp. Then we got that nice high ceiling play in Mike Williams. So Brown and Mooney, 2 very good additions. So Jalen Hurts is gone at the 60th selection overall. I think that preseason outing that he had, a really solid drive Saturday night, I really do think that it has helped his ADP move up in fantasy drafts. But we've been on the Jalen Hurts train ever since the season ended. I mean, this was your QB1 through the first 11 weeks of fantasy football last season, and I really think that he only got help in the offseason. I think the defense improved. I think they had a good draft, and obviously you add AJ Brown to that roster on the offense. So I'm not going to be surprised if Jalen Hurts continues to move up in ADP. Cordell Patterson gone, Miles Sanders gone, Amari Cooper gone, Gabe Davis gone. Moving into the 9th, we got Michael Thomas, Elijah Mitchell, Adam Thielen, Rashad Bateman, and Allen Robinson gone. So taking a look at who's available, Kyler Murray is interesting here, but I think we just continue to load up at receiver. Give me Hunter Renfrow here. Just another nice, consistent player to add to this roster. Wow, things move quickly there. Devin Singletary, Kyler Murray, Drake London, and Juju off the board. I like the idea of going for DeAndre Hopkins a little bit later in 18 mocks, but we'll go Devonta Smith here just because we already have Hollywood Brown on this bench. So now looking at receiver, we've got Cooper Kupp, Mike Williams, Hollywood Brown, Darnell Mooney, Hunter Renfrow, and Devonta Smith in full PPR. I think we're in a great spot. 6 solid receivers, a lot of them bringing consistent PPR value. Then, you know, some nice boomer bust, higher ceiling plays, at least with Hollywood Brown and Mike Williams. So I think a good receiver room overall. Still sitting with Travis Kelce at tight end. Now we got Najee Harris, James Conner, and Ezekiel Elliott as their only running backs. 2 of them in Harris and Ezekiel Elliott sharing the same bye week. So now at the back half of this draft, most important thing becomes loading up at quarterback and finishing out with running back. So I don't mind going for 2 quarterbacks in an 8-team league. And if we do so, I'm going to go for a guy like Joe Burrow and then turn around and get a guy like Trey Lance. But at some point, I really want to take AJ Dillon here. So I think Burrow and AJ Dillon are our top targets. And moving into the next 2 rounds, we'll probably go with maybe Dameon Pierce or James Cook and Trey Lance, if Trey Lance is even still available at that point. So to finish up the 9th, we got Devin Singletary and Kyler Murray gone. In the 10th, we got Drake London, Juju, Devonta Smith, TJ Hawkinson, Tyler Lockett, CEH, Kadarius Toney, Dak Prescott gone. And into the 11th, we got Kareem Hunt, Damian Harris, and Allen Lazard off of the board. 2 more selections until we make our next selection. So for me, like I said, I think Joe Burrow and AJ Dillon are the most important players for us to go ahead and select. But if we can land a Trey Lance on this team as well, it just kind of brings that nice consistency and that nice high ceiling play at the quarterback position, and it presents some trade value down the road if needed. I don't think you necessarily have to draft 2 quarterbacks whatsoever in the 8-team redraft format, but I also don't mind if you want to go ahead and do so. Wow, we get sniped. A.J. Dillon gone. We don't land him. What a bummer. All right, give me Joe Burrow here. Man, A.J. Dillon just so important to these rosters that I've been building lately, but that's okay. All right, so Brady's gone, Rodgers is gone, Wilson is gone. Looking at running back, like there's an argument to be made here that we should draft Pollard and just secure all of Dallas's backfield, handcuff-wise, injury-wise, all of that. But I'm going to make a move at quarterback. I'm going to go for upside since we lost some running back value. I'm going to pick up Trey Lance here, and we'll move into the 13th and the 14th round and just draft the best available running backs. Looking at receivers available, Elijah Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, both sitting here. So let's say over Hollywood Brown, we went running back. Well, there just wasn't a lot of value there. But if we did, we could still have the opportunity to draft DeAndre Hopkins in this draft, as he is just now selected in the 12th round with the 5th overall selection, in the 12th. So there's an argument to be made there. I also like Elijah Moore a lot, regardless of if Zach Wilson is hurt or not. So maybe that's one note on this draft. Maybe we don't go Hollywood Brown there. Maybe we quote unquote reach for a running back, maybe even reach for an A.J. Dillon, who in our subscriber mock drafts is going fairly early overall, a fan favorite around the 4th round, even in 12-team mocks. So there's one or two notes there. We don't land A.J. Dillon. It is a little bit of a bummer because I love him overall, and I really have made him part of my 8-team builds, but that's okay. Let's take a look at running back here. I think that Chase Edmonds in full PPR is probably the guy to go with here. And then at 107, we go with one of those rookies, whether it's James Cook or Dameon Pierce. If Edmonds is not available, then I'll just go with Cook and Pierce and call it a day. And that adds some nice youth, some nice PPR upside to this roster overall. With Harris and Connor, you do get some PPR value when you look at the amount of receptions and targets they both had last season. Zeke maybe not bringing as much, but we do want to get some youth on this team at the position. So let's go with Chase Edmonds here. I do think he could be heavily utilized within that offense. Zach Ertz and Mike Gesicki finish out the 13th round. And then to start the 14th round, we got Ramondre Stevenson and Pat Freiermuth. So with this next selection, right, there's kind of two ways we could go here, right? We could go James Cook, get more of an uncertain player with more of a crowded backfield, but on a better offense overall, who probably brings a little bit more upside and PPR value. Or we could go with Dameon Pierce, who's on a much worse offense, but has a much clearer route to be an RB1. Looks very good in preseason, someone we've talked about all offseason long since he has been drafted. And I'll just go ahead and go Pierce here because I think he's the most in line to be a clear-cut RB1, but I do really like James Cook in that position as well. So to finish out this draft, we'll just pick the best available defense and the best available kicker, and we'll call it a day. I think it's a good roster overall. All right, wrapping up the 14th round, we got the Bills defense, Chris Olave, the Saints defense for Rashad Penny and Kenneth Walker off of the board. Into the 15th, we got the Packers defense, the Ravens defense, Justin Tucker, Michael Carter, and Money Mac off of the board. So really, I don't think it makes a huge difference whether you go kicker or defense here. For the sake of tonight's mock draft, let's go with Matt Gay, and then we'll go with the best available defense at 123. I do think if you're kind of in that mid selection of kickers and defenses, right, maybe go for a little bit more upside at kicker because you can always stream a defense, worst come, worst serve at the end of the day. So let's go with the Cowboys defense. I like the Colts defense as well. There's some other names in here that I like. The Chargers, the Browns are a nice streaming option to start the year. The Patriots, the Eagles, even the Bengals and the Rams, Broncos. There's a lot of names we could mention here, but let's go with the Cowboys. They have a very, very easy strength of schedule overall. And, still your number one defense in fantasy last season. I think they'll regress, but don't get me wrong. Just looking at their schedule, they're very intriguing fantasy-wise this coming season. And that'll do it for today's video. That'll do it for today's roster. Let's take one final look at the team. We've got Cooper Kupp, Najee Harris, Travis Kelce, James Conner, Ezekiel Elliott, Mike Williams, Hollywood Brown, Darnell Mooney, Hunter Renfrow, Devonta Smith, Joe Burrow, Trey Lance, Chase Edmonds, Dameon Pierce, Matt Gay, and the Cowboys defense. So really the only slight note I would make is we went pretty heavy on the receiver position, a big run at the receiver position with 5 drafted in a row. maybe somewhere between Hollywood Brown and Darnell Mooney, we go with an additional running back. But really, outside of that, I still think we pieced together a nice squad. I do think Chase Edmonds and Dameon Pierce were just fine at the end of this draft. So Kupp, Harris, Kelsey, Connor, Zeke, Williams, Hollywood Brown, Mooney, Hunter Renfrow, Devonta Smith, Joe Burrow, Trey Lance, Chase Edmonds, Dameon Pierce, Matt Gay, and the Cowboys defense. You're probably starting Joe Burrow, starting Kelsey, starting Harris and Connor, starting Kupp and Hollywood Brown. Then you've got a plethora of options at the flex position, an additional quarterback, a great kicker, a great defense. I think this is a great roster overall. So if you did enjoy today's content, be sure to hit that like button on the way out. Hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel. We put out free daily fantasy football content, and at the moment we are running a free subscriber mock draft nearly every single night on the channel. Be sure to join our Discord with the link down below to ensure that you get our mock draft invites. Please let me know in the comments down below if you have any mock draft requests, whether it's a pre-recorded video like this one or a live subscriber mock draft. I will get it on the schedule and we will get it put together for you. And that'll do it for today's video. With that, I'll say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening, and remember, you guys saw it here on The Catch.